everyone, welcome back. This is RandoGEEK. Alright, so we have a news article here that I wanted to share with you guys. I thought it was kind of interesting. Apparently this is the first time this has ever happened, and of course it's Dish Network, so that's why I figured maybe you guys be interested in hearing about it. But apparently here's what happened. Dish got fined $150,000 by the FCC. Apparently it was for failing to move an old satellite far enough away from others in use. So apparently Dish Network admitted to liability over its EchoStar 7 satellite, and of course they agreed to pay the $150,000 fine, and as well as a compliance plan with the FCC. So for those of you that don't know what space junk is, apparently it's made up of bits of tech that are in orbit around the Earth but are no longer in use, but are a risk for collisions. So officially called space debris is what it is. They're saying it includes things like old satellites and parts of spacecraft. So apparently the FCC said that Dish's satellite posed a potential risk to other satellites orbiting the Earth at its current altitude, which is the concern here. So Dish's EchoStar 7, which was first launched in 2002, was in a geostationary orbit at the time, which starts at 22,000 miles, 36,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface. So Dish was meant to move the satellite 186 miles further from Earth, but at the end of its life in 2022, it had only moved 76 miles because apparently it lost fuel. So they just kind of left it there, thus the concern. So looks like what happened here is they were issued this $150,000 fine to teach Dish a lesson. Many will argue that the fine is petty. It's not really enough to do anything. Some may say it's cheaper to just leave the issue unresolved for a company like Dish and just pay the fine rather than develop a whole compliance plan for cleaning up and taking care of situations like this. However, Dish did comply. They're paying the fine. They're going to work with the FCC with the compliance plan. So hopefully Dish has learned its lesson. The big thing here is it was definitely meant to try to scare anyone out there from doing a similar thing. You know, Dish, this may not affect them as heavily. Smaller companies, smaller satellites out there, 150,000 is going to set them back dramatically. Not to say that this is not going to hurt Dish. Every fine that a company like Dish gets, at the end of the year, we get those reports of their earnings and their losses, and then, we tend to hear them cry wolf about how they've lost a lot of money this year and this and that. A lot of it is due to mistakes on their end. This can be accounted for a mistake on their end, which eats into their profits. We know how they've been talking about how they're tightening the belt and they're doing everything they can to raise money because they want to build out, and they're selling Boost Infinite and they're doing whatever it is to raise capital. Well, they just got set back $150,000, and in the grand scheme of things, it's not a whole lot. But when you have requirements to meet and there's a very tight budget, it adds up. It definitely adds up. So hopefully Dish has learned its lesson. Generally, this was meant to just scare everyone from doing this. I don't know what the big plan is here, how they plan to resolve it, to avoid, space junk. I guess just get your satellites out of the way for sure. They're saying, if any of these debris were, hit an astronaut up there, whatnot, it would be fatal. So that's the big fear here, right? That's the biggest concern. The link for the article will be down below for you guys if you want to read it. So I'll just read a little bit more to you guys, give you a little bit more information, and then we'll wrap this up. So there was a statement made by an FCC enforcement. It's actually the chief of the bureau, Loy-Ann Igalo. Loy-Ann has said that as satellite operations become more prevalent and the space economy accelerates, they're saying we must be certain that operators comply with their commitments. All right. They're saying that this is a breakthrough settlement, making very clear that the FCC has strong enforcement authority and capability to enforce its vitally important space debris rules. So, like I said, this could have a major impact on other satellite operators, which is what they're hoping. They're trying to put that fear in them so they don't do it. All right. What else we got here? Saying, you know, obviously the more things that we have in orbit, the more risk there is of collisions. So causing high-speed debris, this can go on and potentially hit other satellites, causing yet more debris and potentially cause a cascade reaction. So this is the biggest concern here. They're saying we had more than 10,000 satellites launched into space since the first one back in 1957. So how they've been able to keep things out of the way, I don't know. And how this is the first time we're ever hearing about a fine for this, I don't know. So I find that interesting, part of why I'm talking about it. I guess Dish made a boo-boo. So hopefully no one else does that as well, because the fines could get bigger as well. That's another thing we have to consider. Maybe the next fine will be 400,000 or 500,000, you know? So guess we'll have to see if this ever happens again. But just wanted to bring this to your attention, guys, let you know what's going on with Dish. Seems like we get one good thing for them, and then, you know, a few days later we get something not so good. It's kind of how it happens with these wireless carriers. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for stopping by and watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.